Alrighty, Doc here from North America, TGIM. Thank goodness it's Monday. Let's see what they're doing today. Let's get over to the J4X to start off with. See how they look. And there is the Swiss. You can see Swiss is moving up. Wow. King dollar cannot be stopped. It's just absurd. It's crazy. It doesn't even make any sense anymore. But that is what's going on. And it just keeps on rolling and rolling and rolling. But when it comes to, inflation, production, GDP, all these numbers, they don't make a lot of sense anymore, but that's the way it goes. Now, let's take a look at it over on Chicago Quant. Let's switch it over to 2, right? Yeah, there we are. Move that up a little bit, like so. And I think everything can be seen, can it? Yeah, it looks all good to me. And let's go to the Swiss right there. You see, same situation. We've climbed up back into that channel. The weekly is turning up now. The daily's been in a buy for, 3 full days now? Wow. Like I said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why we follow more of a quantitative way. And the fundamentals we try to talk about, we try to theorize about, we try to speculate. We do all kinds of things on the fundamentals, but the fundamentals have really become an enigma. Was it Janos who had made those videos about how to trade fundamental information, and on a short-term basis, and it was a challenge. It was a true challenge, because you can see now it has only gotten more consistent over the months and years now since the beginning of quantitative easing back in 2008. This has been what's going on, and it's almost going to be 13 full years. It all started to implode somewhere going around here in August of that election year, and Mr. Obama got elected, and the markets just went a tizzy. They just went down, and they kind of bounced around, and we lost 60% of the market, I think it was, something like that. Fell down to around 6,000 area, 6,600 on the S&P 500, or maybe it was the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I guess that's what it would be, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It's been very strange ever since. It was supposed to last for 2 or 3 years. Mr. Bernanke promised us that we weren't going to, it wasn't going to over-influence the marketplace, so forth and so on. But here we are 13 years later, and they're spending trillions upon trillions now. So, we just kind of march along every day. We look at the quantitative side of it. We look at the information. We try to understand what we're seeing. But in the end result, it's all mathematical at this point. All right, let's jump over to the euro. And that's what we talked about last week, was how the euro was collapsing even more than the Swiss and everybody. Swiss was actually firm at the time. So was the GBP. Let's put it up on J4X right there. There it is. So the action that we saw in the euro, woohoo, look at that last week. We were talking about that. We put headlines up, things like Swiss and GBP, versus euro. We put up there Swiss is the go-to pairs trade. Swiss is this, Swiss is that. It was screaming at us. The math was. It was just staring us right in the face. So, all right. I don't need to beat on a dead horse at this point. Now let's take a look at. Let's see. We can see it here on J4X. Now what we'll do is we'll drift over to British pound. Where is it at? Right there. Put it up on Chicago Quant, same time, right there. This is battling hard. Came into the weekly buy. You can see very small pressure on the downside. You can see our intraday, our daily is trying to perk back up, and you can see here on the cable, it's kind of trying to find a bottom here with the stochastics, the two battling stochastics, and trying to lift its way up. And you can see the Hinkiashi is red, just like we are right here with the two red dots. So, you know, cable has backed off, but not as much. You know, at this point in time, it's a battle between the Swiss and the cable. Who is the safe haven at this point? They're both safe havens now. People are rushing it, not rushing. They're moving in and they're buying cable over the dollar, and they're buying the Swiss over the dollar overall. Now we see here. Let's just go back to that a moment. Look at the Swiss. Let's see, which button is it? Right there. You can see the weekly right there. It's trying to turn up also at the same time. 4 days in a buy, but now the daily and the weekly are trying to coordinate together. Pressure. You know, I don't think there's any way to really describe it. It's just that that's where the buyers are. And that's what the math is telling us, that there's buyers at the moment for the dollar against the Swiss. Because it does seem like a safe haven. You know, it seems like a safe place to be. And you know, when we mark that channel up there, and now we can basically change that channel in the sense of move that down like that. I guess maybe move this over. And now the channel's become even wider. We'll see how it bounces off the top of this. And you can see this channel here. This is a descending channel. We've been watching that just, you know, over the last month and a half, but we've been watching this big one with the two black lines for almost 2 years now, back since actually 2018, I believe it is. Let's go over to J4X again, because when we put it up on a quarterly basis, you can see we're in that. Well, let me slide this over, because I don't think I keep more than, okay, there it is. So, and that's 222. Okay, I'm not sure what I'm talking about now. Oh, that's 220, okay. 2020 in July. And we've been watching that channel be a very powerful characteristic. You see it breaks it down here. We're thinking, okay, now King Dollar has finally had it. And out of nowhere, they give us a reverse head and shoulders and start to take it up and challenge the top of that. And then it goes and plays with it. You know, it gets through. These things get through these lines, but they seem to gravitate right back to that zone, and that seems to be the Federal Reserve zone, or the U.S. Treasury zone that they want people to stay inside. And that's and it's kind of uncanny most of the time how they do that. They stay inside that area. And then we jump back to the cable. The cable, you know, we've talked about this. We really see the cable as a. Let's see, can you see the numbers? You can see the numbers. Good. We've really talked about the cable being a 140s type of product, 144, 148, you know, something where up in there. You know, both the Swiss and the cable really do look like they are safe havens. So just that when you think the King Dollar has nowhere else to go but up, all of a sudden it stops and these two pick up the slack, they go up in value. Then when you think, oh, okay, finally King Dollar is dead, King Dollar finds a way to climb back up again. So what we're really seeing when we go back and look at those lines, in this case here we don't have lines set up for the British pound, but with the Swiss, it's telling us that they want them to trade in some type of channel. This is something official by the central banks. It's obvious, because there's no way in the world, if this wasn't being backed by the central banks, they would stay like that. They would not lock themselves into. Let's just go back to it again for visual confirm. They would not lock themselves between those two black lines the way they have over the last couple of years. You know, they just wouldn't. And it's interesting when you see it drift underneath here. I wonder if we went back and looked in December of last year, and here, going into February, or I guess right up in here. I wonder what we would see about the money supply. In other words, this is like the end of the year. And normally every year we've seen for decades where they adjust. They do this type of adjusting thing. And we talked about it this year, and we were waiting for it to happen. And I was telling you it's like clockwork. And then I usually say that what we'll see is somewhere going into January or February in the Fed numbers, will show us how much they spent or how much was borrowed dollars against the British pound by the exchequer itself, by the exchequer, not commercial trading. And this was the first year in a long while that I have not seen that, be it the euro or be it the cable or whatever product it is. This year they were kind of silent about it. They didn't really talk about it. So I wonder what happened there. There was a squeeze, I would assume, for, in this case here, for the currency and not the dollar. And then finally, going in after January, you can see the reverse head and shoulders develops. They run up going into the first week of February after a full month hanging underneath the number, that black line there. And then it becomes a real base again. And you see it just support it and slowly lift up and play with the top side of it. And then you can tell they're doing the same thing up in here. Now they've gotten enough of it. They're kind of letting it float around, just kind of playing inside the lines. And we've talked about it, or at least I talk about it, and I say that I believe, because I see what the U.S. Treasury says, what they report. And they have this little policy about defining manipulation. Yeah, manipulation. I mean, that's a laugh in its own right. But they actually try to define manipulation. And they actually put out reports saying stuff like, well, Bank of Japan was manipulating this month. Or the People's Bank of China is not manipulating this month. It's like, I mean, can you believe this? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's amazing. It just is amazing that it happens. So anyway, that's where we are. All right, let's jump over to, after looking at the three majors there, let's take a look at the Turkish Lira. Right there, closing a daily buy last week. You can see it's loading the boat up and starting to make a move. The weekly still showing, just kind of sideways, like we don't really care that much yet attitude. But we're watching the Turkish Lira, see if it's going to climb up through those yellow dots we've had there for like 4 months now. And let's take a look at it through the eyes of the euro against the Turkish Lira. Right there. And you can see there, we've been also 3 full days going on a 4th day in a daily buy. And again, the weekly does not, the longer term traders to this particular product don't show any real conviction to do any more buying than just on a short term basis. On a week to week basis, so far they're just basically saying, nah, it's a dead cat bounce, that's all it is. And we'll keep an eye on that, see if it really turns out to be just a dead cat bounce or if they really start to get some action into this stuff. Let's take a peek at how it looks on the J4X. There's the mouse right there. Let's see, right there. We're going to look at the euro first against the Turkish lira. Right there. And we're probably going to see this thing turning up at this point. Yep. And you can see the hinky ashies are green. The line has broken through from this lows in here. And we'll see what they do with that and the dollar. More than likely, that is signs of strength. Definitely strength. We've been watching the strength. The question is, will it have any conviction to go into another week or two of this? I'd be surprised. Or we're going to see a weekly pop up out of nowhere, and one or the other. If it has that conviction, we will see the weekly lift. And so far, we're not seeing that on the Chicago side of it. Right there we are. And that is the euro against the Turkish lira. And if we get, now you can see here where back here when it finally did, it jumped, it got going in here. From here, it made a nice run from 10 even to almost 11. I guess it was like, what was the high there? The high was 1075, almost 1076. 1076? Yeah, 1076. So this product, interesting, insightful, Maybe it's, maybe it's telling us stuff, that we, out of the whole general market that we're not interpreting yet. We're just not picking up on it. But one thing is for sure, and that is the dollar side of it is becoming strong, and the euro side of it is becoming strong. All right, from there we slide over to the Canadian. Dollar CAD, right there. Looks like it's just kind of sideways down today. They've really pushed it up well. You can see that nice little move has done some good stuff. And let's take a look at it on the Chicago side of it. I know I get a control of this mouse. There we are. And there it is right there. You can see we've been in a daily buy now for 4 full days, going on a 5th day. And we've been in a weekly buy for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, is it? That's line 20. 9 weeks. This is the 10th week, yeah. 10th week, and it does look like it's trying to back off a little bit, which is curious because the Turkish Lira seems to be rising, so it's getting weak. And here the Canadian is trying to act like it's going to try to turn down. Interesting products. All right, let's see, from there, where do we go from there? Usually what we do is we slide in over to the energy sector and the metal sector, and then from there we go back to the currencies. So let's do that. Starting off as a quiet Monday morning in the middle of the summer in the northern hemisphere. All right, and let's go down to, let's see, let's put that in here. There's crude oil. We're going to look at crude oil this morning. Right there. You can see we've been in a daily sell. I thought we were back further than that, but oh, that's what. We went into the daily sell here. Traded down. They tried to flip it. We got the volatility signal, and then we got a pop up. We went into a buy, and then it went back into the sell on Friday, and then you can see what they're doing to it today. At the same time, it is truly a winner chicken dinner because it went into the weekly sell, last week, confirmed it with no problem, and at the same time a daily sell. So it was a real, good signal by the quant. What else can we say? That's the crude oil. Now let's jump over to, we're going to take a look at natural gas. That's the other energy we pay attention to around here. Let's see. We can do it on J4X first. Let's see, where are you? Natural gas. There it is, right there. So nat gas has been strong. I think we're now at, that's line 10. 17 weeks in a weekly buy. 17 weeks. Wow. And looking at it right here through the Chicago quant, where's it at? Right there. And there is natural gas. It's playing with a daily sell today. Interesting. And look at the weekly. The way the weekly has turned down also. Let's put that up on the screen. Right there. You can see the weekly is actually trying to roll over. We haven't been down that low in a while. So we'll see if this is finally, here we are getting ready. We're heading towards the middle of August, and we've been watching this product rally since April from the 280 area, 270 area, something like that. It's going up to the, like the 410 area. A demonstrative move. Hooray for us. And it was looking very good. Uh-oh, John's on the warpath. Let's see. Beware of credit card fraud. Okay. And so, just text somebody that. And so, looking at nat gas, this time of the year being this strong is interesting. Maybe it'll digest some of this. I think it's going to be a nice cold winter, so no problem there. And then what we do is we take a look at, like I said, the crude oil right there, and you can see what we talked about a few minutes ago. And the weekly doesn't seem to be interested in trying to turn up whatsoever. And so that kind of describes the action we see in the Canadian. Only difference is it's a little surprising that they're trying to roll it over, but it's not the end of the day yet, so no major shakes there. Then we go over to the currencies again. We take a look at the South African rand. We usually do gold. So let's do this. We'll go to gold. And there's gold. They had really hammered it down this morning. And you can see it's in a weekly sell now for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 full weeks, going on a 9th now. And these metals this whole metals complex is tough because the central banks are in there utilizing it like a currency. So it really makes the whole adventure when you're paying attention to the energies, and then you look at the dollar, the way it's moving against other currencies. It is definitely a new twist of it all, I guess you could say, in the sense that they're vacillating inside a range, and they go down and hit the bottoms, and they go up and touch the tops, and they get through them sometimes, either the bottom or the top, and then they gravitate right back to the line again. I mean, it is so obvious, the influence. There we go. Too bad some people in Congress won't talk about it. Now we jump over to where's it at? It's down here. So we go to the gold, and that's it right there. Let's take a look at silver. And silver was pounded on Friday. We've been in a daily sell on that for 3 full days, going on a 4th, and that's line what is that, 8 or 9? 9. 13 weeks now in a weekly sell. So we're like in 14 weeks of it now. There's like no stopping this nature of a market, and the participation becomes less and less and less. And I recommend to a lot of people, especially if we can get into a weekly sell, I like to see us put all collars on when it comes to the equity markets. In other words, you would sell calls against your long equity and buy puts with the premium, and try to do it in some way where you get a little credit, and sure enough, you'll be hedged in case they do the August thing where they somehow or another top the market out. We've seen that way too many times over the last 4 or 5 decades. All right, now let's see, that is silver. Let's take a look at platinum. It's one of our little pet peeves around here. There's platinum. Platinum is banging down again, still pushing hard, and let's see if that's updated. Yeah, it is. So let's do a Control R. There we are. So the platinum's been pressing down. We're in a weekly sell on platinum. That's line, what is that? Line 7. 14 weeks. It's even longer than the silver, who's 13 weeks. Silver 13 weeks? Yeah, 13 weeks. So this action that we're seeing in the metals complex, no worries, huh? That's what they're saying. Don't worry about looking at the value of silver or gold or anything like that, because it's just not that important. And that inflation, as they say, is just drifting. It's what they call it, transitory, just transitory. Now we're going to have Jackson Hole coming up in another week, so that's what everybody's been waiting for. We've been talking about it, where we'll know after Jackson Hole. If we start to go into a weekly sell, then maybe the classic top of August will occur on some level. Maybe they give a chance to tell everybody, we're going to let it kind of drift down a little bit and give you a chance to buy it cheaper. I mean, maybe when they don't have to communicate by emails or telephones. They can communicate face to face. they're going to make sure that they get their message across to a lot of the big investors that are going to be there at Jackson Hole, and some of the biggest investors in the world are there. So, we know that something's coming along, and you would assume that he wants to talk to them individually. Like, looks like we're not tapering, but we're going to tighten a little bit. Just nothing major. Just see how the waters react. See what the markets look like. That classic. We'll let the waters go backwards or forwards and see how they act. That, to me, that's the most logical place to do it, is Jackson Hole, where you can have private meetings with a lot of people. Okay. So from there, let's see, that's platinum. Let's go to the South African Rand. We'll go right to that. And now, since the metals are moving down, we have to assume that the product is moving up. And we'll go from there. And dollar, South African Rand right there, hanging in the high 14s. You see they're pressing it up on the upside. We'll slide into Chicago Quant. There it is right there. And let's see, where's the ZAR? There, down. There it is. And you see there, it's in a weekly buy, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 weeks. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 8 weeks, going on a 9th week, and 3 days now in a daily buy. It's pressuring itself on the upside, matching up with the way crude oil is going and the way gold is going. When obviously gold is going down in value or crude oil is going down in value, chances are the South African Rand is going down in value, which means, higher numbers. In other words, it takes more of them to buy a dollar. All right. No question. Oh, there's a question. I was going to say, no questions today. Doing all right. Thank you, Douglas. I appreciate that. You have any particular product you'd like to look at? Anything. Stock, bond, currency, commodity. Maybe we can accommodate you and show you what the math looks like, see what we see. Yep. So we're doing fine. Just marching along. Just another day in the summer. That's what it really comes down to. Just another lazy day in the summer. All right. So there's the South African Rand. Let's now drift over to the ruble while we're waiting to see if Douglas has anything he'd like to see. Dollar euro. Yeah, let's check it out. Right there. We talked about that a little bit earlier, about how we see the euro really underperforming the Swiss and the British pound, and you can see that even because I think they're at a buy and this product is in a sell. We're in a weekly sell there, and the British pound came in a weekly buy. Swiss came in a weekly buy. They're both underneath or at the zero line, so they're playing with weekly sells at the moment. We'll see how long that lasts. But we have been saying on this webinar that it sure does look like that the euro is the last place you want to be. They keep on finding ways to go down. Yeah. It's just and I do believe, I really do, and I've talked about this, about the channels. The central banks are keeping all this in some type of channel. They don't want to get tagged as being stock manipulators. So it's a lot easier that way. And you see what I'm saying there about the euro? I said this at the beginning of this webinar too. We've been putting up headlines for the last week and a half about the strength of the Swiss and the weakness of the euro, and and we're seeing it British pound too the same way. They're definitely holding on very well. All right, now let's go check out where we're at. We're looking at, now we go to the Russian ruble. That's it right there. And the ruble went into a daily buy right here yesterday, but notice the weekly was breaking down and has broken down this week. So we're playing in the south side, or the short side at this point in this product, just waiting for the greens to disappear and we get some reds. It'll be well worth trying to take a shot at on the short side. Now we drift over to the yen. You can see the yen's up for a couple days in the daily buy. You can see the weekly flirting again with the buyers, showing that they are becoming more dominant. And that's how our math usually does it. It picks up the supply and demand of the products themselves. It's a consciousness we measure. We have no exact idea of understanding what it is. We see physical things occur, you know, at different laboratories and so forth, and different theoreticians in physics and chemistry and so forth, but we're not really seeing a lot of screaming and yelling right now on this little sell-off here. Definitely something to watch for. All right. How's that, Douglas? Does that take care of the euro situation? If so, we'll just drift back over to the ruble and see what they're doing. As we said, ruble is going into a weekly sell, and at the same time, it is playing with a daily buy. That's not it. That's cable. Right. It's around here somewhere. Nothing up my sleeve. That's for sure. That's for sure. Nothing up my sleeve. And what are we looking for here? We're looking for the yen against the dollar, like that. You see that's doing somewhat the same thing. When it's going up, it's losing value. And that's the Bank of Japan / the yen. You can see the weekly is, as I said earlier, trying to turn up. And then we slide over to, let's see, we go from there to the, we did the ruble, oh, Mexican peso, that's it, we do the Mexican peso now. As you can see, we have a lot of products we're following. It's not there, so let's try it here. It's got to be there. I think I have to go down to, like, oh, there it is right there. There's the peso. It's been on a daily buy for a couple days. It's in a weekly buy for going on its third week now. So some nice little pressure on the upside there. Soybeans, sure. Let's see what soybeans are doing. Did see some weakness developing. What's it? This fact check shows it as in a weekly sell in the November beans. Let's see, soybeans right there at the top, November. You can see weekly is trying to go back into the buy. It went into the sell last week. You can't have any position on because it's in a daily buy, and now that it's above the zero line, you don't want to try to take the short here. Just let it play itself out. And that's how that usually works too, traders, is that if you let the markets do its thing and you don't mess with it, interfere with it, and you just read the numbers, you'll pick up more information all the time. Every time I go back, we looked at the euro. If I go back and look at the euro again, it's going to be more insightful than what it was an hour ago. All right. So there's the soybean. Oh, did I do soybeans? No, I didn't do soybeans. Let's get the soybeans up there. That's the peso. Right. Let's see, where is it? Switch it over here. And let's find soybeans. Right there. Yeah. So that's interesting. Trapped in another one of these products, trapped in our sideways chop. So it can't get out of its own way at the moment. And it's been, it was in a buy for 3 good weeks. Then they went into the sell last week, and here it is trying to bounce back up, as I said a little while ago. And I just want to dissect this a little bit more. Interesting how it was in a daily sell from up here, and it rode down, and now it's trying to fight its way back into the buy with a weak day. So just as it was starting to show some life, it's starting to show us again the weakness. Now beans, they're trading, what is that? That's $13.34, so $13 a bushel, which is pretty good. That on your average field, that usually is somewhere around that's about $700-800, $600 some odd dollars, depending on the yield. So that's pretty good in product. Now you got to figure out what it costs you for the machines and so forth, and the cost of fuel. And not counting, you can see, it is being pulled in so many directions. We have the wheat in a plus, as you can see over there. Let me just take a look at this neighborhood. You see corn doing the same situation, trying to break down, and at the same time it's in the, what's this? That's the deck. Let's go over to SEP. We're using the SEP corn on the spreadsheet. Right, it's here somewhere. It's near the red wheat. Let's see. Yep, no, that's it. September, right there, right after the feeders. There we go. And that closed in a sell, and look at it. It's trying to climb up back into the buy today. I don't think there's, like I said, I don't think there's a lot of conviction to a lot of things this time of the year. This is the time of the year where just when you think it's safe to play around or trade or hedge, it turns another direction. The Trader's Almanac shows this area to be a topping area. In 2008, when quantitative easing got developed, it started in August and didn't really get ugly until the election. And then it started to fall apart a couple days before the election. At that point, everybody knew Mr. Obama was going to be the next president. It was pretty clear. Alright, so there's the SEP corn, whereas the deck is not done this yet, but you can see the daily is trying today. We'll see how well they do by the close of the day. Alright, now let's see, where do we go from here? So we've done the metals, we've done all the currencies that we normally follow. Now we're looking at some commodities. We've looked at the corn, the gold and the oil and so forth. We've looked at that. If anybody else wants to see again what we've looked at, just say it. We'll put it back up on the board here. So now what we'll do is we'll take a look at the stock indices. Right there. Here we go. Let's show you. And there is the far left one is the S&P 500. It's down only 3.5 points, 375 to be exact. 4 points now. At one point it had gotten as low as 412.25, and now it's trading at 425. So it's 13 handles higher. Over on the NQs, we were down almost 100 full points. It rallied back. It's up 4.5 points now. And it had chugged along even higher, up about 20 some odd points. The high today now is 15.99. That's not it, that's the close. 15,126.75. There it is. There's the high today. 15,126.75. All right, now we'll drift over to the last of those that we usually look at, and that is the Dow Jones, the big gray lady. The old gray lady, the Dow Jones Industrial Average from the old New York Stock Exchange, which is no more. It's just a shell. It's been bought by ICE, the Commodities Exchange. And you can see here, it's down 61 points. We were down as low as 34,965. You can see we're trading right now a total of about 65 points higher. Dow's down 60 points, 61 there. You can see chicken. You see here it's trying to top. It's trying to top out right in here. You can see that. Whereas you can see the Nasdaq is trying to bottom out here. And same thing with the S&Ps. It's trying to bottom out. All right. And then what we do is we drift over to one more. We look at the Russell 2000. So let's go over to the daily on that, right there. And let's look at the Russell. That's the most speculative of the stock indices now in the States. Right there, there we go. And you can see here it's trying to pop up. It's been in a daily buy for, what was that, 2 full days or 1 full day, and it was a volatility signal and a daily buy, and now it's unchanged basically. It had taken out some lows, and it does look like it's trying to lift back up. You can see the weekly, which went into a weekly buy last week. Put that in there, like right there. We don't have anybody following this, so we don't keep it that updated. And then only when I look at it do I need to update it. And then you can see right here it is driving hard back down again into the minuses. So this is like considered the most speculative stock index here in the States at the moment. And it's been trapped like everything else in some type of range. You know, 2,350 is the all-time high area. And you can see now it's flirting to go back down into the 1900 area, maybe something like that, 2100 area. You can see that's the low of about 3 weeks ago, 2100, and bounced back up. Alrighty. From there, see, we've done all the currencies, we've done all the metals, and we've done the natural gas and crude, and we've just looked at the intraday stock indices, and we just looked at the daily on the Nasdaq. I'm not sorry, not the Nasdaq. It's the Russell 2000. Now let's look at the Nasdaq. At one point this morning, the NQs were minus, and you can see here the weekly is trying, but this is a super, so it's 3.5. So the what is it? I'll tell you in a second. Style. So the histogram is the weekly, you know, the plot 6, the 5, and that's the histogram, and then the green line is the 3, and then the plot 4 is the blue. So let's cancel that. And so that's what we're seeing here, is that they're not really able to sell that down at this point. They had this morning, they had them knocked down, especially going into last night. And, you know, like I said, you can see where the lows are. The numbers are, you know, pretty low. I mean, the NQ alone was down 100 and some odd points from here, or 99 points, something like that. It's very close. The low is 03. We're trading at even, so it's 97 points lower. 98 points lower now. And then the same thing with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It got down, like I said, it's about 65 points, 64 points higher off of its lows. So last night they started selling this stuff off, and wow, somewhere in the middle of the night, they perked it back up again. Matter of fact, we could put that on here. You can see they made their lows right there. No, that's not it. Yeah, that's it right there. Okay, yeah, wait a minute. That's today. So they drove it, are we right? Something's not saying right. Let's just double check this. And the low is, that's not the low, because that low there is only 972. When you look on the chart itself, you can see the low of the day is, this is the Dow Jones 965. So, and that's right there. 965? No, maybe that should be the 965. Yeah, that's the 965. So these products are moving in different directions. Just like what we're watching with the British pound and the Swiss franc against the euro itself. Let's see, where do we go from here? Okay, let's take a look at right there. There's the S&P trying to hold up. That also was flirting with a sell this morning, you know, or late last night. That, let's put it that way. They were knocking that down. All right. And then I guess we got it all, right? So we've looked at the Dow, and we've looked at the S&P, and we've looked at the Russell, and we've looked at the NASDAQ 100, or better yet, called the Tech 100, especially at Dukascopy. And it's on the charts there, too. Let me just show you that on the J4X. Not that. Right here instead. There we go. There it is. The USA Tech. What do you call it? The Tech Index. And we're seeing this product trying to lift again, even. And it's up 9 now. Whereas when we first started looking at it, it was at 3 and change. And then ticked 4, and now we're at 9 1/4, 9.50, 9.75. Give us a round 10. Come on, take the 10. Where's the 10? Take the 10. 75s, halves, 75s, halves, evens, still even. Wild, definitely wild. Watching the charts here. All right, let's see, what is that? That's the Tech 100. Okay, good. So that's our look of the stock indices. Oh, and let me just check out the daily here for the Dow Jones. Same situation. At one point, it was a minus last night. It's like I was thinking, wow, what am I going to do? Wake up and find it up again? Of course I am. That's what it was. The NASDAQ is up. You know, it was down 90 some odd points when I went to bed, and now it's up like 6 or 7. Was that? It's up 10.5 points, and it just, the beat doesn't stop. You know, money knows the Federal Reserve is going to play this game until it's not going to play this game, and then you'll see lots of panicky type action. Odd but true. All right. Now it's a total carte blanche at this point. We've looked at all the stock indices, we've looked at the currencies, we've looked at the metals, and we've looked at the energies. So we've basically seen it all. And just as I look over and see Douglas's question, again, we looked at the grains. And you know what we could do is take a look at April cattle. See that? It's like over $1.40 a pound. And that's what they refer to as not dressed on the hoof. Right there. And that's not it. Right there. There we go. There's the SEP corn. And then let's look at the August cattle that are expiring in the next 48 hours or something like that, you know, by the end of the week. That's why anybody listening, we've switched over to the next months in a lot of these products. And you can see here the April is fighting to get stay in the buy. Its weekly has been in a buy. It's been in there for weeks upon weeks. And there's you know, they're buying this stuff, and what is that? Oh, that's August cattle at 124. It's trying to bounce back up. Let's get April cattle in there. There it is right there. April cattle's not really taking this market too serious. Look at that. Trading at basically the highs of the last 6 months, maybe? Something like that. Let's just contract that. I mean, that's where we are now. Look at that. That's like, wow. Hamburger costing a lot more than it used to, that's for sure. All right. We've seen the grains and we've seen the animals. Take a look at hogs. Hogs, I think, Robin, I think, said to me that it was limit down on Friday. Let me just double check there. I'll take a look at the August because stuff like that. Now that's feeders. Right there. That doesn't look like limit down, but it might be limit down. Interesting. Now that's the spot month of August. Let's see what the October month looks like. Right, where are you? Right there. There's the October hogs, and that closed higher on Friday, and now it's it shows that it's battling to get into the buy right here. It's in the weekly buy still, so I'd have to assume that any selling you see in those complexes, don't be too scared about it. Just have your stops in. You can always live to fight another day with stops. But naked, long or short, sometimes they can hand you your head. All right, so there's the hogs and the cattle, and we've seen the corn. Pretty much it's not going anywhere. We've got ourselves a coffee situation where the coffee keeps on showing strength, and it just doesn't stop. Let's take a look at it through the stocks themselves. Let's see if I can find it here. Stock combo right there. There's tags. That's what this is. It's an ETF of the 3 grains and sugar. So it's corn, soybeans, and wheat, and sugar. What an interesting little ETF that is. And then there is the coffee. You can see the coffee is doing its battling to stay up. There. There's today's trade. It's kind of off a little bit by the hair, but the daily is holding up pretty well. The weekly is holding up pretty well. So looks like the game is not ended there. They're going to keep on playing with these products, utilizing them. The coffee, Robin's talked about it. Middle Ages talked about it. Getting up into the $3 area on the futures contract. All right, what else can we say about that? I guess that's about it. Not bad, huh? Let me think. Titles. Got to go with the titles, and I'll tell you, I keep on seeing, where I want to, there's one thing that's for sure, and that is the euro is very weak. Let's just put it up there as I talk about it. I think that's going to be the headline for this. I mean, we're not seeing strength in the other currency pairs at the moment, but there's no doubt that the euro just keeps on finding ways to go down in value. And you can see here today it's like almost unchanged, but with pressure on the downside. Whereas we're starting to see, cable and so forth, that they just vacillate back and forth in their respective zones between the Swiss and the British pound. But when it comes to the euro, it has that weakness to it. Look, it's like, wow, they can't hold that up. I mean, they're spending $60 billion a month in quantitative easing out of Europe. They have some crazy number in the tens of trillions invested in minus return. So it really, really catches my eye. Let's see. You can do that. Yeah, there we go. And that does become more and more clear that where and how the pressure is. They're not able to reach for any of these currency pairs long. They take them up, they take them down, they take them up, take them down, right into the channel. We're really seeing a lot of channel trading, and I try to emphasize, if you look at the Trader's Almanac, and I've said that earlier in the webinar, look at the Trader's Almanac, this is a very tough time, very tough. You can see just from the viewership, it gets quiet. Every year it gets this quiet. where people, they watch more people watch it on a video than watch it live. Very few come in to take a look and see what's going on the live side, because it's that time of the year. People are trying to vacation. I see Polina. Where's she now? In Italy, I think, maybe. I think that's what it was. And you see people just roaming around trying to enjoy the summer months while they have them. If you don't enjoy them now, then you're waiting till next year to enjoy them again. You don't want to do that. So you got to take as much of an advantage as you can. All right. So today I think we're going to call it Euro dollar sideways down. I think that's the best way to describe it. And again, there's not much to be said about it, more than the fact that they don't have a real thrust or drive to lift these things up. Even with all the quantitative easing going on, everybody's kind of standing back, and it makes total sense to me. It does. All right, traders, we're out of here. This is Doc from North America, just slowly creeping through the webinar and trying to identify anything that will help anybody who has to be involved. Remember, there are people that have to be involved. They have to, change currencies to buy products or sell products or translate products, and it is what it is. All right, happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be tomorrow. Happy trails to you, to all our Dukascopy trading friends. This way I get all my frustrations out and I get a chance to say something intelligent about the market. So Doc is saying aloha.